Today could be a pivotal day for the crypto market because we just got some absolutely massive news and the charts are telling us something interesting. In today's video, we'll be talking about this, going over the most recent Bitcoin price action, and discussing what I am personally doing next. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Okay, so first things first, the major news is that the MSCI concluded review into the DAT index inclusion, and they came to the conclusion that they will not be excluding DATs like MicroStrategy from indexes. Now, this was FUD that previously came out, and when we got this news, Bitcoin actually pumped from around $91,000, which was that low that we established yesterday after getting rejected, all the way back above the yearly open. But we have since retraced that entire move, and right now Bitcoin is sitting just around $92,000 as I am recording this video. If you've been watching me, you know that I did enter a Bitcoin short. That one is finally turning a profit. I'm currently sitting around $50,000 in profit, but what I wanted to really get at here is if Bitcoin doesn't lose this trend line, we can actually get another push upwards. But my base case still remains the same. Despite all of the bullish news, Morgan Stanley filing for that Bitcoin and Solana ETF, which we covered in a previous video, and right as I'm filming this video, they also filed for an Ethereum spot ETF, I still think that Bitcoin can be moving lower from here. So at this point in time, what you'll notice is we are right at the top of the range. I talked about this time and time again. The risk to reward to go max long right here was simply not there. And right now, a lot of longs are getting shaken out of this market. I also talked about how in a previous video, it seemed like people were euphoric, but most of the comments were, man, no one is euphoric at this point in time. Look, if Bitcoin starts getting acceptance above this range, then it will be looking quite good. And in today's video, I wanted to go over my base case for what Bitcoin could be doing next, also taking you through what we could potentially expect over the course of this year. But first, I needed to show you something very noteworthy, and that is this blue line on my chart. What do you think this is? It is the Fed's balance sheet. And what do you notice? We have been in quantitative tightening for a very, very long time, and we just ticked up recently. So does this mean that we're absolutely going to fly from here? Because as we discussed, for us to get a sustained altcoin season, we need more money printing. Therefore, quantitative easing is required. However, it is my duty to show you what happened last time this occurred. You can see that when the money printing went absolutely crazy, we had a massive run up for Bitcoin. And naturally, this was also when altcoins really started to outperform. But, and it's a big but, before we actually had the big move higher, if we go on the daily time frame, you can see that we didn't actually move higher for quite some time until it actually occurred. As you can see here, this is the Fed's balance sheet, and it slowly started ticking up before we had an explosive move. But what do you notice with Bitcoin? We essentially slowly continued to trend lower. Then we had a big dump. Obviously, this was COVID, and we had the big pump with the money printers turning on aggressively. So what I want to get at here is just because we see a little bit of an uptick here for the money printer, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're just going to absolutely fly from here. So at this point in time, let me just take you through what my base case is. And I actually shared this in my premium group this morning. Look, I've always said that I think that Bitcoin will tap into its bull market support band and get rejected from around that region. Now, where is the bull market support band? You can see here that it's all the way up to above $100,000. So, do I think that from here, Bitcoin will absolutely explode to the bull market support band? In fact, no, I don't think that this is the case. And here's why. We're currently right at the top of the range at critical resistance, and we are now getting acceptance, technically speaking, below that yearly open from 2025, which we discussed would be a very pivotal level to flip as support if Bitcoin is to be a little bit more bullish. So at this point in time, I actually think that it's more than likely that we liquidate some longs within this existing range before we get another sweep higher, before we likely get another sweep lower, and then we can go ahead and target that bull market support band. Let me just discuss a hypothetical scenario. So you can see right now that Bitcoin is indeed getting rejected right at the top of this range. Are we going to sweep this range once more? Only time will tell. But the important thing to consider here is that while we're chopping around here and we tapped into some lower liquidity, longs are indeed continuing to chase this price action as seen on the liquidation heat map. Legends, in a ranging environment, liquidity is everything. If Bitcoin is on a parabolic move higher, then of course we can leave some liquidity levels untapped. If Bitcoin is absolutely dumping, then of course we can leave some upwards liquidity untapped. But at this point in time, as we're still chopping around, we're still in the same existing range, we're not seeing that many shorts pile in right here. Meanwhile, everyone is still looking for an opportunity to go long. And you can see here that there is tons. We're talking billions and billions of cumulative long liquidation leverage to be grabbed. And let's take a look at it from a different perspective. The chart is still the same. Even after Bitcoin dumped just a little bit yesterday from around $94,000 down to $91,000, you can see that people are still trying to go long, hopefully timing this breakout. Now, I think otherwise. I'm clearly shorting this market, but if you're new to the channel, I will show this time and time again. I went long when everyone was freaking out when Bitcoin hit $80,000. I went long just below $83,000, and I'm still maintaining some of my exposure in the market in case I am wrong and Bitcoin just absolutely rips higher. My highest conviction short trade is not actually from this region. My position is relatively small compared to what I'm planning to do, and that high conviction trade is actually upon a retest of the bull market support band. If you don't know why I'm saying this, if we go back to the previous cycle where we essentially had a double top, you can see that we did manage to get a nice pump all the way up to that bull market support band, only to go ahead and get rejected. We even wicked above it a little bit, and this was after Bitcoin had already dropped significantly, pumped up to the bull market support band, and then moved much, much lower. My long-term base case is still that I will have the opportunity to buy Bitcoin at much lower levels during the bear market. I actually think that it's highly likely that after tapping into this bull market support band, we will be seeing Bitcoin go below these tariff lows, below $70,000. Now, obviously, I'm not a fortune teller, but as the price does start dropping below $80,000, because I do think that that will occur, that's when I will dollar cost average into Bitcoin and start going more and more aggressively as the price continues to drop lower. There is a chance that we can go much, much lower. I mean, historically, we do know that Bitcoin actually can dump over 80% in bear markets. This time around, though, we have a bunch of institutions involved, so maybe the drop is far less significant, especially because we did not have that massive euphoric top, which we tend to get. So with that in mind, let's assume that Bitcoin only gets, say, a 50% drop. Where would that put us? All the way down to around $63,000. And I think that this is more than likely. You might not like what I have to say here, but right now, this is just short-term price action. And I do think that over the course of this year, I will be getting the opportunity to buy at lower levels. Remember, this is also coming from a guy that accumulated Bitcoin sub $20,000 in the previous bear market, and I've continued to hold on to most of my position. So what's going to happen here is going to be very, very important, because if Bitcoin can get the confirmed breakout at the top of this range and we don't continue to see this rejection, it will become more and more probable that perhaps this will be the test of the bull market support band before potentially rolling over. So I'm just going to play it as I see it. Right now, I have started shorting since the top of this range, and so I'd like to see us at least come back down and tag some more liquidity. Now, one of the updates I provided in my group today was, a little bit of short-term speculation, and that would be a rejection here coming all the way down. Also, keep in mind, we do have those CME gaps below, one right around $90,000, one also right around $88,000. And so the thesis could be, if we are to come back down, fill this CME gap, perhaps we even go ahead and fill this CME gap, people become overly confident that Bitcoin is just going to absolutely capitulate, then we run the highs again, then we come back down, and on a potential double bottom of the 80K low, if I can just find my charts here, that could be the time where Bitcoin really does rally all the way up to around the bull market support band and then gets rejected. I know this might sound like a lot and this is just pure speculation, but I will be trading the market that is right in front of me, as I've always told you guys to do. The way to make money in this market is to actively trade the market that is right in front of you. And I'm a firm believer that if you can make money when the times are more difficult, once we go back into easy mode, it will become 10 times easier to make money consistently in the next bull market. So I hope I've made myself clear. I still think that Bitcoin is within the same exact range. We can see that the Coinbase premium did indeed turn harshly negative after a little bit of green on this move up to $94,000. Ideally, if you are bullish here and you want to see us break above those current range highs, we need to see the Coinbase premium turn positive sustainably. And we also need to see the spot ETFs continue to buy, because we had the massive inflows just 2 days ago, and then yesterday we saw 250 million worth of outflows, but BlackRock are continuing to buy. Something to definitely pay attention to. You can see here that as soon as we got the news that the MSCI decided not to exclude DATs like MicroStrategy, we got tons of people going into longs, and naturally we got that short-term flush. So the question is, are we going to hold on to this local trend line, move higher, and actually break through the top of this range, which we've been discussing time and time again? I am still holding my Bitcoin long from the lows, but more recently I have been leaning a little bit more short. If we can go ahead and sweep up some liquidity below $90,000 and we get the reaction that I like, I may actually go ahead and go long, targeting a move outside of this range. But we'll also have to see how the price action develops, because things move very, very quickly. And that actually brings up another topic here, which is, but 1 month ago, you said this. Yes, but new information came out and changed my mind, and or I was wrong and adjusted my positioning accordingly. Is this concept that difficult to comprehend to people who just got into trading and investing? What am I missing? I love this post. It really resonated with me, because you'll notice that I often change my mind in this market based on how the price action develops. And in my opinion, that's exactly how you should be trading and investing in this market. When we get new information, our bias can change. For example, for the long term, because some of you have been saying, what if this is just a massive super cycle? Well, if Bitcoin can actually confirm above its bull market support band, multiple weekly closes that is, I would be willing to come out and say, okay, I'm probably going to be shifting way more long in this market, because until proven otherwise, we are still very much in a bearish trend. I'll of course keep you updated as that develops, and remember, I am still holding some spot Bitcoin, so I do stand to benefit if we move higher out of here. In the short term, I've taken a couple smaller trades where I'm leaning more short, but I am also continuing to hold on to my Bitcoin long from the lows in case I am proven wrong, and I also have my spot exposure. So let's see how the price action develops. Right now, my base case is that we will likely get, at the bare minimum, a sweep lower here, because we do have a lot more cumulative long liquidation leverage in the market compared to cumulative short liquidation leverage in the market. And it's really the reaction here that will be telling what will happen next in this market. Are we going to be able to just explode through, tag that bull market support band, which will be crucial resistance, or is it time already for us to move lower and get acceptance back into the middle of this range, which then opens up the opportunity to target the highest cluster of downside liquidity right below $87,000. Only time will tell. I'll of course keep you updated. And I also wanted to just wrap up this video talking about a couple more things. James Wynn did get liquidated on his Bitcoin long that I shared in my previous video. And we do have a very, very juicy next few days. Today, we will actually be getting the ISM Services PMI data along with the JOLTS job openings, but Friday should be even more significant, where we will get the non-farm payrolls data and of course the unemployment rate. If the unemployment rate continues to rise ever so slightly, right now you can see that the previous was at 4.6% and the consensus is now at 4.5%. Let's say we come in at 4.7 for whatever reason, I do think that that would add fuel to the current fire of rejection that we're currently seeing. However, if the unemployment rate does come out lower than expected, then perhaps we can get a move higher and we will finally get enough strength here to really blow past the yearly open and also blow past the top of the range that we're currently at. Until proven otherwise, I'm very, very happy with my positions in this market, and I will simply continue to trade the market that's right in front of me. Reminder, if you want to know exactly how I am personally trading this market, you do have the first link in my description down below, which brings you to my free premium group. The only requirement is that you've signed up with one of my affiliate exchange links, which are down below, of course, and you start trading on there as you normally would. But remember, these are just my own personal trade setups. I'm just a guy on the internet sharing his own trades. I am not giving you financial advice. Nothing that I discuss on the channel should be construed as financial advice. Now, in terms of an exchange, I would typically recommend Bluffin because you can get some fantastic bonuses where, depending on what you deposit, we can significantly reduce your fees. Normally, you have to trade with much more volume to get access to these VIP tiers, but if you sign up with the second link in my description down below, I can give you that VIP access depending on your deposit amount. And that sums up today's quick video. Bitcoin essentially got rejected right at the range highs, and we are now seeing acceptance right below that 2025 yearly open, which I've constantly talked about as a crucial level to flip if the bulls are to take over. While I am still expecting a relief rally, I actually don't think that we will tap into the bull market support band from these zones. I'm still favoring a move lower to tag the liquidity, and then, only then, if everyone goes max short, that's likely when I will pivot my stance, add to my existing Bitcoin long, and then we can ride off into the sunset before getting rejected at the bull market support band, and then potentially moving lower from there into a deeper bear market. I know it might be a lot to take in, but that is currently my base case. We'll have to see how the price action develops. And again, if I get new information, I will simply pivot my stance and trade the market that is right in front of me. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. I have my Bluffin leverage trading tutorial right here, and I'll see you in the next video.